Hello everyone, this is Fantasy-esque and welcome back to the Fairy Amazon Challenge in The Sims 4. We are following the reign of Queen Supriya Reed Daisy, who has recently noticed a closeness between Uther and Vivian. This poses a slight problem because the Queen has yet to see any attempts on Lynette's part to get close to him, and she knows the Crown Princess values her friendship with the Night Ember twins. She may choose to encourage Vivian's relationship with Uther rather than draw any lines. And Supriya is more aware than most that bonds in the royal family are far more complicated than that. We are picking up at 6 AM on Friday, ready to do some whims with our fairies to see how everyone is feeling and maybe adjusting in the aftermath of that freak fire. So, Lady Bren wants to bring a gnome to life, and thank you so much to one of you lovelies who let me know that for a gnome to be effective, you have to drag them down to wherever you need them to operate. So I am gonna grab one of these gnomes. Our garden is in complete disrepair. There are like pixies everywhere. So thankfully, thankfully, Bren has the mind to help deal with this. So let's get fairy dust. We'll get 5 fairy dust, and we are gonna get her to bring this gnome to life for gardening. Thank you very much. And hopefully it will be able to look at this. Look at the mess this place is in. An absolute ooh. Look at that! So all we needed was a gnome in the vicinity and everything was gonna be so much better. Thank you, Sir Gnome. Like, you really helped out. I've never seen it in effect to this degree. But I wonder if the gnomes can only do like a certain extent. If I brought in a secondary gnome, maybe they would get rid of the pixies, or is this gnome doing its job? I'm not entirely sure, but that was really cool. That made me really happy. But yeah, Bren, she's noticing that things are kind of falling apart around here and we need to fix it up. So she's just doing her duty as a counselor to keep things in order. Kayla, meanwhile, you had something and now you don't? Okay, well, what? We can enchant 3 plants. Maybe she just wants to kind of settle back. We didn't have plants to enchant a second ago, but now we kind of do, which is nice. So maybe I'll bring her down here and we can enchant some of the plants we have. Okay, let me collect up. I'm gonna get her to instantly... Can you get out of the water and then instantly fly here, please? I think I need 15. I need 15. Vivian likes to play pranks, that's fine. Also, recently, Vivian and Titania got the jokesters dynamic with each other, which is very, very nice to see. Okay, we need a couple more of this fairy dust. Let's come through here. Let's enchant. Enchant. Okay. Yeah, Kayla is definitely, I think, laying back and seeing what happens. I think she's been more focused on Supriya, but she hasn't made any more moves towards Supriya, which you would think she'd do. I think, if anything, Kayla has been keeping her ears open to see how the court is faring with the whole situation between Lynette, Vivian, Titania, and Uther, and she kind of has an inkling that things are strained between Jadis and Supriya. Jadis is going to be aging up pretty soon, and she's going to become a teenager, join the main court, and then we might have more drama, because we know Jadis isn't exactly settling too well, and we're not too clear on how she's going to approach everything and everyone, or what direction her personality is going to develop in once she is a teen. So I think Kayla feels that something is coming, and the freak fire that happened, it might be a sign that things are not nearly as stable as they seem. So she's leaning back and wanting to observe. Titania wants to bring a gnome to life as well. Excellent, because we do have more stuff in the garden that is yet to be done, and I wonder if gnomes can like fix up the bugs. And if gnomes can get rid of the pixies. I don't know if... I want to use this purple gnome. The purple gnome is really cute. I feel like I don't use it ever. Okay, let's plop this gnome down and see if maybe we can bring a gnome to life for gardening. It says sprayed for bugs. Oh, I wonder if it will... Because this... Actually, yeah, this has bugs. So is it gonna help out with the bugs? I'm not sure. Get rid of the pixies? I'm not sure. I don't see it doing anything unless that plant is out of its vicinity. I don't know. I don't know. Well, I guess that's not something we can do too much. You know what, Titania? Why don't you work on gardening? Why don't you water and spray for bugs, since you're here? And gently shoo the pixies away, since nobody's really doing this. Although, maybe this is something the counselors should pay more attention to. But she was in the vicinity, you know, she was in the area. So I kind of feel like it's okay. Moving on to Vivian, who is spending time with Lynette. I feel like right now they have a very exciting plot line going on between the two of them. She wants to rummage in trash. Yeah, Vivian, I don't think has been thinking too deeply about anything. I mean, yes, she was spending a bit of time with Uther. She was wavering a little bit, but I think her attitude is more, if I don't think about it too much, then it's not a problem. But let's rummage for food in the trash. Like, honey, I don't think Lynette would entirely approve of that. Lynette seems more the type that would arrange for someone to cook food for you guys to eat instead of having you rummage for trash. But again, Vivian she's a glutton. She just does not care about some things. So, I mean, she gets enjoyment where she gets enjoyment. She's gonna rummage the trash. It's not very dignified. I'm gonna say this is, yeah, not very dignified, but she's clearly not too concerned. And it's kind of nice that she wants to chat with her sister while her sister is gardening. Moving on to Lynette. Okay, so Lynette wants to confess to being socially awkward. So who is she gonna do this with? Let's take a look. Okay, within the household, she has a 10 friendship with Brant, 44 with Katarina, 86 with Supriya, 19 with Bren, 10 with Kayla, minus 20 with Vivian, and 97 with Titania. Guys, what happened to her friendship with Vivian? Okay, well, it seems as though she, at 86 with her mother, 97 with Titania. Okay, she's gonna go to Titania and talk about herself being socially awkward. Oh my goodness, that took a turn. I was not expecting that. Where would that be under? That might be... Would that be under like deep conversations maybe? I don't know. Small talk maybe? Yeah, ask for social advice. I'm gonna go with that one. Oh my goodness. You know what? I think Lynette initially had the attitude that it's kind of okay for Vivian and Uther to be something, right? And maybe she thought to herself that it's okay if they start having feelings for one another, because Lynette doesn't for Uther. However, her mother clearly has a different opinion. And I think Supriya would have spoken to Lynette about this, and Supriya would have told Lynette, you don't understand how complicated things are. because Uther is of a royal bloodline from the first dynasty, and he is a threat. We might not like to think of him as that, but he is a threat. If he marries you, then your dynasties, our dynasties, will become one, and any heir that is born in the future won't have rivals. Whereas if Uther kind of marries someone else, like Vivian, then any daughter of Uther's will have support from whoever doesn't support Lynette's bloodline, right? There might be fairies who want to revert back to the first dynasty and not be too happy under the second dynasty. That's going to create a split and a fracture within the court and the fairy queendom, and they cannot allow that to happen. Things are way more complicated than that. And I think after that sort of talk, after thinking it through and letting it brew, Lynette has kind of realized that her friendship with Vivian is making Lynette, it's making her weak in a way, and it's making her not think clearly about matters pertaining to her position, which is very fragile. And so I think that is why she and Vivian are suddenly having such a rift. This is crazy. They have gone from being best friends and loyal to each other to suddenly despising one another. And this is so unfortunate, but I think it's one of those moments where Lynette is basically having to be tough for the survival of her family and her bloodline. She's having to put herself as crown princess before her friend, before her best friend Vivian. And obviously because Vivian is kind of tied in with the whole, betrothal, the whole relationship with Uther, through her friendship with him, she's the one that is a problem, not Titania, which is why her relationship is the one being affected, not Titania's. And I think earlier on, Lynette probably she was noticing that things are going bad between her and Vivian, and she wanted to, I think, salvage it. She wanted to try and salvage it, which is why she went to Titania to tell her that things are not really working out. I don't know how to deal with all this. I'm feeling really awkward about it. I don't know what sort of decisions to make. And Titania, I think, maybe was trying to soothe Lynette, and Vivian happened to be there. And then Katerina came there as well. Vivian maybe overheard that Lynette was struggling to choose between her position and their friendship, and she got really offended by that. Because she's always been more loyal to Lynette than she has to Jadis. She's kind of put Lynette's feelings above her own feelings and tried to keep a distance from Uther, despite being really good friends with him. And that felt like a bit of a betrayal. So I think that's why when Titania backed off to give them space, Vivian lashed out at Lynette. And now things are like really, really bad between them. Oh my goodness. This makes me so sad and scared and nervous for the future. Princess Jadis has aged up into a teen, so we're taking a look at her in Cass. Jadis aspires to be a party animal and has developed the vegetarian trait. I definitely see her as a vigilant sort of royal, and I think she can see her sister's friendships fracturing. So knowing that Vivian and Titania are party animals, she wants to be in the same circles so she can have more support for herself over time. And her decision to become vegetarian might be a strategic declaration that she is someone who can exercise self-control. She's willing to give up certain foods which the other fairies might indulge themselves with, which creates a more mature image than her sister has. In terms of appearance, she is quite a pretty royal who looks the complete opposite of Lynette, which might serve as an advantage if the crown princess fails to meet people's expectations of her. It'll help Jadis disassociate with her sister's failures in the future. I also like how Jadis has a more dignified sort of hairstyle, which again is supposed to make her look older and wiser than her age. And of course, she's inherited her mother's white wings. And that's all for Princess Jadis. Okay, Jadis has moved into the main court, and of course, we want to know what her relationship with everyone else is like. So let's take a look. It seems as though she is friends with Uther, she is good friends with Vivian, good friends with her mother Cypria. Even though she has a bad impression, a bad compatibility with Titania and Lynette, she is friends with Titania, and she's also friends with Tinka, not so much Sycorax. And she has a negative relationship with her sister Lynette, which she's had since a very young age, so we know that they are rivals. That's quite clear in the way Jadis behaves. But I find it so fascinating that while Lynette's friendship with Vivian is falling apart and she doesn't really have much going on with Uther, Jadis, meanwhile, has been putting a lot of effort into becoming close to them. And I almost feel as though if she knew it would undermine Lynette's authority, she might even use her friendship to try and encourage Uther and Vivian to get together. And Jadis, her relationship with Cypria has improved quite a bit. She's got 100 relationship with Cypria. 100. So it's almost as though she bides her time. Yes, she might act out, but every single time there's almost like an age up happening with her. She's transitioning in her life. She kind of proves to her mother that she is the better option, which is so fascinating to me. With everyone else in the household, she has a good compatibility with Bren, and she's also good friends with her. She's not really acquainted with Brant. She has a decent impression of her though. Let's see who else. Katerina, she's good friends with, and Kayla, she has a bad compatibility with. And she doesn't have any sort of relationship with her. I suppose Jadis is, I think, aware of Kayla's nature and that it is not exactly the most straightforward. So I think she's wary of her and tries to stay out of her way. And Brant, maybe Jadis, knowing the way Jadis is, she likes staying close to influential people. She probably feels as though Brant doesn't have much going on for her in court, so it's not as useful to be friends with Brant, which might be why she's also not making too much effort with Sycorax, but she also is aware of the fact that it's probably a good idea to make sure she has good relations, at least with one point of contact in every family, which is why she's probably focusing more in on Tinka. Very, very intriguing. And now I'm kind of curious, since Jadis has moved into the main court, how does Cypria feel? Hold on. Cypria has an 86 friendship with Lynette and 100 with Jadis. So at this, she's all the way out here. At this point in time, guys, Cypria actually feels as though Jadis is the better heiress, despite the progress that Lynette has been making this whole time. And I think a huge part might be seeing how Jadis handles her kind of social relations so maturely. Jadis, even in being a vegetarian, has kind of declared that she has a lot of self-control and she knows how to handle relationships. She has managed to become really close to Vivian, when, in contrast, Lynette's relationship with Vivian has completely gone downhill. And I think Cypria has been observing that, and she kind of feels as though every time she thinks Lynette has things in order, something happens to prove otherwise. Ay. We might be in for a treat now that Jadis is with us in court. And with that said and done, I'm going to leave off here. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.